Hello, I'm Tan the Tambio TC channel, and I didn't know how to show these on screen, because on the other side it actually says where they're from, so I usually go to a library if I'm to rent movies that I haven't gotten to see, so it's a good way of seeing them technically free. But it's really cool, and I had 3 movies that I watched recently. There's definitely one of them that's not very good, as you can see here on the left side, if you can make that out. But I also hate how this camera, like, some days it'll be clear visual camera, and other days it's grainy. And even before I started this video, I was trying to fix it. But nothing's doing. I tried cleaning the lens and everything. It's just being stupid today, of all days. But nonetheless, I wanted to talk about some movies, so I saw Return to Silent Hill. I gotta trim these frickin' nails again. They're frickin' growing fast. And then I finally got to see Send Help, which was playing at the same time as Iron Lung, but I only went to see Iron Lung. I believe this made more at the box office than Iron Lung, if I'm correct about that. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. And then I saw Mortal Kombat 2. I don't know why I didn't go to theaters to see this one. I actually was kind of hyped for it. So I finally watched all 3 of these. Which one should I kind of want to talk about Send Help first. Whoops. I had more... Here's the funny thing. I had more fun with these 2, if I'm being honest. I guess this technically isn't supposed to be fun. But it's an island survival movie mostly. Not to spoil too much. And at first I like the main character, but they do both kind of... ironically, his character, Mr. Maze Runner, I forget his name, Dylan something. He's pretty cool. I love the Maze Runner movies. But the acting's great, of course, and so is like the cinematography. It's not using like CGI a whole frickin' ton. There is like kind of a twist towards the end, and I think there's 1 or 2 moments that feel Sam Raimi. This is like his first time directing after a long time. I don't know if he directed Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I can't remember if he was the director on that one, but yeah, directing more of a proper film of his own in a while. And I had a hard time by the end finding the main character likable. I actually weirdly rooted for the dickhead, who the Maze Runner's character by the end, because he had some genuine good character development, and you can kind of see his side of why he defends himself and why he goes trying to go after this lady. But at the same time, I just found none of the characters very likable. I was left disappointed. A lot of if you would see like the art, or like not art but posters for this movie, it makes you think it's an entirely different movie from what you're actually getting. Iron Lung was more bloody than this movie, and usually Sam Raimi is the one that has a frick ton of like buckets full of blood in his goddamn movies. But this was weirdly like kind of, other than like the ending stuff, it was kind of just not much. There is one intense moment. There's a threat of cutting the dude's junk off at one part. But yeah, it felt weirdly tame, and like I've seen it before. I've seen plenty of movies with people surviving on islands, like freaking 7 Days, 7 Nights, Castaway, and such. I've seen plenty of horror movies. I don't know if this is a horror movie necessarily, but I don't think it's a bad movie. I just felt a little left down by it a little bit. Maybe people hyped it up too much. I don't know. I prefer Iron Lung. But I love Sam Raimi. I love his other work. I love if I made a tier list of my favorite like S tier movies, it would be Spider-Man 2, Evil Dead 2, and Darkman. I freaking love those movies, and I'm hoping to talk about actually at least Darkman. For some reason, I don't own a physical copy of Evil Dead 2. I do have a digital copy, but I need to own that physically. Like, come on, what's wrong with me not owning that physically? That's stupid of me. That's dumb on my part. But yeah, I love those movies, and I love his other movies. Hell, I even enjoy Spider-Man 3, and that was a dumpster fire at times. I enjoy it though. So even when he has something that's like stupid, I enjoy it. Hell, I would even say Multiverse of Madness I kind of enjoy. It's not as much as I do Spider-Man 3, but there's some enjoyment. I like Bruce Campbell in it. Hell, I like Bruce Campbell in pretty much anything. But yeah, I don't know. I was felt a little left down by this movie. I liked Iron Lung a lot better by the end. And I'm glad I got to see that in theaters. Maybe I should have seen this in theaters, but I don't know if it would have changed my mind much. But it's not a bad movie. It's like a B plus movie in my opinion. I really liked Iron Lung though. I felt like the camera work was a lot more memorable. The setup was more memorable. It had more blood. Ironically, I like the I love psychological horror, and it kind of gave me that. And it makes me it also makes me talk about and think about the movie, kind of like people talking about the ending of The Thing, or talking about what The Shining means and its ending, or stuff like Back Rooms and such. I love films like that where they make you talk. And Iron Lung felt like one of those films for me, where this one, not so much. It was good though. Now let's move on to Mortal Kombat 2. I want to save Return to Silent Hill last. Um, Mortal Kombat 2 was just a dumb, fun movie. I, if I rated it, I would probably say like a C plus. Um, it's just a dumb, fun movie. I think there's some cool fight scenes. Some do let me down a little bit or are very simplistic. It weirdly didn't have as much blood as it probably should have for a Mortal Kombat movie. That's weird to say, but it did have some ridiculous moments nonetheless. I loved the Noob Saibot fight. That was kind of cool. Some of the choreographed stuff. Maybe a little overuse of CGI, but you're getting into a dumb freaking fighting game movie, so. But it does have some intelligence behind how it's trying to do the story. Um, I didn't even know Jade was Jade for a while. She didn't really look like Jade. Nothing to the actress. She was kind of the most boring part of the movie, mostly because the director, I guess, just didn't give her much to do. Katana was faithful, though, but why was she bald and had tattoos on her head? She was fine otherwise if she frickin' had hair. They don't have to be sexy, by the way. I know people always complain about that, but they don't have to be sexy. But at least Katana felt faithful to the version somewhat. Probably more so design-wise. But she was definitely more interesting than the main character of the last film, sadly. But yeah, I liked some of the films. I think one of my favorite fights, too, was between Liu Kang and his brother. That was a really cool, visually cool fight. Shao Kahn was pretty cool as a villain. He was pretty close to the looking like the version we got from the games, and his fight scenes were dope. And then Cole got freaking spoiler. Cole got annihilated. I loved the references, of course. The 2 stars just making you laugh, though sometimes the reference jokes can get a little cringy after a while, is freaking Carl Urban as Johnny Cage, and what's his name as Kano returning. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but they were always funny when they were on screen. I did enjoy them. And I got plenty of laughs out of them too. So just the fact that there's 2 actors and there's even moments where they go off of one another with their comedy kind of gave me a little bit of time to like breathe and laugh at the stupid moments with them. But yeah, there's some cool fights, some underwhelming characters. By the way, speaking of, I made a joke about Jade having tattoos like on her head, where I was like, Warner Brothers, since this is Warner Brothers again, I believe, never put tattoos on your characters. It never works out well. Look at the Joker when you put tattoos on him, both as the dragon tattoo version of the Joker and Batman and Robin during, I think, around the same time as the New 52 stuff, or maybe even after, and the freaking Jared Leto Joker. Never put tattoos on your characters. It never freaking works. Can you imagine the nightmare they would create if they did a cyberpunk movie then? Because a lot of characters in that freaking have tattoos. They would freaking ruin every character if they aren't already ruined enough. But yeah, I thought it was just a dumb, fun movie. I would probably even give it a C minus, maybe. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think that the first was a little bit more consistent with its plot and characters and such, but this was still a lot of fun. And it was cool to see all the fight scenes and different characters, even the returning ones, and new ones. But yeah, I think I do remember the fight scenes too a little bit more in the first film. I think the only ones I'm going to remember is the Noob Saibot stuff and the, I guess Shao Kahn versus Cole was pretty cool. Just to see what happens to Cole. And I do like Johnny Cage has some fun. I guess there are some good moments, more so. So it's hard to say. Yeah, I don't know. It's a fun movie. All right. Finally, we get to Return to Silent Hill. This movie's already over the 11-minute mark. It's getting to 12. But Return to Silent Hill was one I actually saw Elvis the Alien. And get this, by the way. So these two movies, I immediately got these two to watch. This one, for some reason, had been... I was put on a wait list for this one. And I was after 10 other people that wanted to freaking watch this thing. What? 10 other people wanted to see this crap? What the frick is wrong? Like, even as a Silent Hill fan or a new fan, it's freaking rubbish. It's a January horror movie. What the frick's wrong with you? January horror movies almost never end up good. This movie did feel like a movie by committee. It also felt like it was just rushed out the door in order to be to line up with the release of Silent Hill 2. Not quite, but it felt like it was trying to build hype around the Silent Hill 2 remake. And I thought it was going to be cool because Christoph Gaines is behind it, and I love Silent Hill 1. The Silent Hill 1 movie is probably up there as one of my favorite horror movies other than Alien and Evil Dead 2 and The Thing. But yeah, like, it's up there. And this is actually, I think this is the worst one of the Silent Hill movies. I would rather watch Revelations because at least I can get some dumb fun. I will say that, weirdly enough, you can still get dumb fun from this. Because I think I did somewhat enjoy it more weirdly than Send Help. I don't know. Send Help just, at the end of the day, I was left sour. But I do admit this is a better freaking movie. This is a better freaking movie than both of these. But, I don't know. I weirdly didn't vibe with it. It was just me that it's not for. And I love Sam Raimi too. But, yeah, it's... Oh, there's something on... Yeah, stupid reminder on my screen. But, by the way, there are some things that Elvis the Alien is technically wrong about. I remember, I don't know if it's just with the timing of when he said it, though he said it multiple times throughout his video, where he's talking about the bad CGI, and yes, the CGI is bad. I think the top-down shot, by the way, I don't agree that it was good. Like, if you saw the way he was walking, he looked animated in a really bad way how he was walking. I don't know if that's just a terrible perspective or what, but I kind of hated looking at that. So I do not give points for the top-down camera view. Also, they use the first-person thing multiple times in the movie. It's just very brief. So it's not just the bar scene. By the way, take that bar scene out of the movie. That was completely pointless. Same with the freaking flashbacks and the psychiatrist scenes. If you rip those parts out of the movie, had better wigs for the actors. They had terrible wigs. You could see the seams and everything. Elvis was also right about that. Terrible beard, too. There's a terrible fake beard he has later. Um, oh, God, they have the freaking cult again. I'm sick of the cult. The reason I love Silent Hill 2, actually, I have Silent Hill 2, like, right up above my window there in display. And, it's such a personal story to the characters, and so many of the characters are so interesting. It's once again, it's got that thing where you can talk about each of the characters individually, and they have so much interesting going for them. They're their own individual, interesting characters, as well as a lot of the symbolism and stuff that the town itself and its monsters represent. They kind of tried to do that. I realized that a lot of the boss monsters were supposed to represent Mary in some way, shape, or form, as well as the characters, which leads to a really dumb scene involving a gravestone and a freaking name. So there were a lot of moments that pissed me off that definitely tear apart. And that ending, it's like it's like he traveled back. It was like okay, it's the in water ending, but then after that, it's like he traveled back in time. He realizes he traveled back in time, and he fixed his mistake of having her stay in Silent Hill by taking her out and having her have nothing to do with the cult. What? What the frick? This is so stupid. Cult shouldn't even be in this frickin' movie. I'm sick of the cult. At least it works in the first movie, but every other frickin' time they used it, it's just too much. Silent Hill 2 feels like a personal story. Also, I do love the music because it's Silent Hill music. It's Akira Yamaoka, and there was one track, though, that every time it played was the character himself, James Sunderland, could hear it within the movie, and it led him to the next part of his quest, so to say. And it's weirdly that same song. I can't remember what the name of it, but it's the same song. I think it's Claire de Lune or something. It's the song that plays every time a mirror is nearby in Evil Within. I was like, this isn't Evil Within. What the frick? Why is this song playing? It was really weird, but the music was great. And funny enough, I would take what Jordan Underneath said about the credits. It's the only good part of the movie because it has the Silent Hill music. Well, there are other parts too, but they're not worth it because the scenes themselves suck. There's just a lot of problems with frickin' Return to Silent Hill. This is a frickin' F. This as an F. This movie. This movie sucked ass. It pissed me off in so many parts. I can see what they're trying to do visually and with the monsters and stuff. James is Pyramid Head. Mary seems to be most of the boss monsters. The nurses were kind of cool. There is terrible CGI. It is kind of atmospheric at times when I wish there was a little bit more time for this movie to cook. Like, let it cook, please. Man, the funny thing is, I actually think that the actor who plays James' normal hair would have probably, if he linked it out a little bit more, would have worked better than the freaking wig, honestly. Because his natural hair, I believe, is closer to the color of James. Though he doesn't really look like James, in my opinion, but yeah. Man, this movie got so much wrong. It doesn't even feel like any of the lines of dialogue are even close to that of what the game had. And finally, there are parts where Mary or James is narrating over stuff, which I guess is supposed to replicate lines from the game. That's probably the only parts that do. But it felt in the way and weirdly placed. Like, almost like it felt like it was exposition for the freaking film. But yeah, I think that's all I wanted to talk about. Another mistake he made. I forgot to mention this, but when Elvis the alien talked about the four-armed creature in that one scene where it's about to put his goddamn hand down his throat, when it shows the face of that monster and the hands coming in, that's actually practical effects, by the way. I think even the other shots close up of it, that is practical effects. That is a practical costume. So it's not all CGI. I think it's mostly CGI when it's just the arms or something in view, like when it goes down his throat. Obviously, that's CGI. But when it's the close-up shots of the monster or whatever, that is where it's a person in a costume or makeup. And I think the reason it gives the effect that it looks like CGI is just how this movie's freaking shot and everything. It looks terrible. There's a lot of shots that even make the costumes look freaking like he knew how to shoot the original Silent Hill stuff better, and the lighting was a lot better too. This, not so much. I don't know if there's anything I can say about the cinematography. It tried at times, but then it kind of just dropped it afterwards. It wasn't even trying to replicate the game. Also, the paintings are technically trying to be a visual aid and used more throughout the film. It's not just one or two shots that the painting stuff for his, just the fact that he's a painter. But I don't think they do enough with it to warrant it being there. But still, it is technically still there, and I guess they're trying to say something more visually or symbolically with it, but I don't care. I don't care to look into this film. I would rather look into the other films I just talked about deeper. But yeah, that was a travesty. And I waited, by the way, I waited not only after 10 people, but I waited probably months to get my hands to finally watch this after I had already watched the Elvis the Alien review like twice. I watched it with my friend Dave, and then I watched it with my friend Dave and AJ, so that they can see how terrible this movie. And by the way, I showed both of them the first Silent Hill movie. They didn't bother to see the 3D one, Revelation. And they both thought this was incredibly stupid just off of that review. There are things that aren't mentioned in the review, of course. And Elvis the Alien has made small mistakes before, but it's not always his fault. I'm sure there's a freaking plethora of nitpick mistakes I could take from his Harry Potter review alone. But it's not enough to really make a video on it, as well as I don't want to get freaking copyright claimed. But yeah, I definitely recommend Elvis the Alien's video on it. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did or found something interesting, like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments below. Tell me what you think of these movies. What's your favorite, or do you have a favorite outside of these? Do you have a favorite Silent Hill movie? Do you have a favorite Sam Raimi movie? And do you have a favorite Mortal Kombat movie? I think I do like the original Mortal Kombat movie just because it's so dumb, it's fun. And I do love that the freaking Mortal Kombat theme plays in the credits. That is really fun. I was vibing out with it when that was playing. But anyways, you have an awesome day. Same with the Silent Hill music. I did vibe out with it when it was playing at the end of the credits too. But yeah, those are just cool songs, so of course I would. Bye-bye. Bye, Jimmy's Bob.